of course, every time you go into a boss fight, you can't just go directly into the boss fight. You gotta have a cutscene beforehand.
Where would I be?
What a stupid question.
Experience has taught me to investigate anything that glows.
Yeah, I kind of like that line because of the sheer irony of him saying that. But yeah, it is a pretty stupid line.
The best way to solve problems is to kick robot butt.
God, he sounds so smug and self-absorbed here. And part of it is Roger Craig Smith's performance as Sonic. He sounds so smug and self-obsessed. His performance really makes you want to punch him in the face. Even when his lines are good, it's just the sheer fact that you have a voice like this for this character. Like, I'd like this badass banter a lot more if it wasn't... I was just so angry when I realized that they changed Sonic's voice to this when I was watching PokeCaptain's Let's Play for the first experience I ever had with colors. Like, I was so baffled that they changed Sonic's voice actor into someone who really doesn't sound like an adventurous thrill seeker who loves adventure and is nice. This guy just sounds self-absorbed and not very likable. Like, I was like, what have they done to this character? But anyways, I like this boss. It's pretty easy. You just go to the right and hit the lever by homie attacking it. And then, you just homie attack the boss. You just spam the A button. Why can't every Sonic boss fight be like this? The only real pressure is that because of the terrible ring physics, it's very hard to get your rings back sometimes. Because they phase right through you when you're in Mercy Invincibility. Like, I can't stress that enough. That's one of the biggest problems this game has. But yeah, you can just homie attack the things that they shoot out at you, so it's not even really a matter of dodging them. You just spam the A button. And see? It was so hard for me to get my rings back there. But yeah, this is exactly how a boss fight in a Sonic game should be. It's short and easy. Another thing I don't like about the cutscenes is Sonic's character model. His model in this game, it really makes you want to punch him in the face. Especially with those eyes and that unfeeling smile. Like, they didn't have any control over how Sonic would look in the cutscenes. The writers, I mean. But, like you've got these characters with huge eyes, and they don't really take advantage of them. Their eyes were so much more expressive in the adventure games. Like, they would lower and raise. What's the point of him spewing out all sorts of rings when he dies? You don't need rings anymore. You've beaten him. Is this to say that he's powered by ring energy? I mean, that's good. Oh, god damn it. I didn't know I was going to get an A rank, so I got cheated out of an extra life. They shouldn't make you collect extra lives on your own. Like in the victory screen. The sheer fact that the writers literally had a character in a game call it a boss fight really goes to show you how little they gave a shit about the franchise.
Trust me, I remember.
I wish he didn't have blank, emotionless eyes there instead. Like, it would have been better if he looked embarrassed instead. He would have looked more sympathetic. Piper Go-Ons. That's such a stupid name. Like, it sounds like it's trying too hard. It's their life source. Remember that. Funny thing. That's so awkward. And of course Sonic has to act out the toilet humor. Here we go. This is the absolute low point of the story. And again, they can't just have a joke and move on. Like, I get it, Sonic and Tails are joking around. They're actually showing actual chemistry with each other. This is a step in the right direction. But that stupid joke, they can't just let it go. Like, it's so insulting to your intelligence. And you know, that joke would have been a lot better if they just said porpoise and then purpose, because that makes sense. And I like Tails' reaction when he's... And again, Sonic acts out what he says. that reminds me of something. Something not too great. And, you know, again, like that Baldy McNosehair joke. It is the most infamous joke in all of Sonic. Like, that joke divides people. That joke divides the Sonic fanbase between people who like the stand-up comedy of Sonic and those who don't. And, like, I just hate how condescending it is to the audience. Like, it would be funny on its own, sort of, if it didn't explain the joke and have Sonic comment on it and act it out and say he's got to call Eggman that later, but he doesn't. So, like, spoiler alert, he doesn't call him that insult until Sonic Lost World. And you know, you wanna know how Eggman reacts to being called Baldy McNosehair? He doesn't. The problem with this section is that you're so used to doing nothing that you don't do anything by the time you're expected to. You need to hold forwards while homing attacking these things to progress. I just spammed the A button without holding any direction at all because I was doing it as a mockery for the game, for making me take so long without doing anything. I mean, they're having these all sorts of cinematic camera angles to show off the good graphics of the game. And I'll admit, this game looks fantastic. But, like, if I wanted to look at good graphics, I'd look at an art gallery. That's something very important that I have to say about games, is that a video game is a game. It's not a movie, it's not an art gallery, it's not a radio, a collection of songs. It's a game. That's why gameplay is important first and foremost. Like, obviously gameplay is not where the appeal comes from. So if a game looks unappealing because of its story direction and stuff, then people are gonna buy it no matter how good the gameplay is, but it's still a game. You know, like, I don't know, that's just me. I'm a retro gamer, I guess. But anyways, this area, this act is a lot about, like, the 2D sections are fine, they're perfectly playable. It's the 3D sections that I really hate. The 3D sections in this level are all the minigame variety. Like, they're just you automatically running forwards on glowy roads. Like, what is the point of this section? It doesn't matter how many rings you get, unless you're going for the ring bonus. Like, all this looks fantastic. Like, Sonic Colors Wii looks graphically fantastic to this day. But I'm not a graphics whore, so I don't really care about any of that. Like, the good thing about the robots at the start of the level is that they always fire in a set pattern. It's the left robot, and then the right robot, and then the left one, and so on. And it's pretty hard to die to these things. I don't think you even have to boost this section. Like, it's not... Like, you don't have to worry about dying here, because you're not going fast enough, which is good. Like, this is just a quick stepping section, and you'll notice that you get a quick step bonus when you quick step. Should you really be rewarded with points for quick stepping? Like, again, that just goes to show you how terrible the ranking system is. Like, you get good ranks from spamming wisps, grinding on rails, and quick stepping. Not for, you know, beating the level really fast. Like, I will always maintain they should only rank you based on your speed. Because your speed shows how good you are at the level. Look, you're walking above the level, just like in Super Mario World. This is totally Sonic-like in every way. And you got the cube wisp, and you, like, it answers itself. Like, you changed blue coins, which are totally not from Super Mario Sunshine, into blocks that you can platform with. Sonic is really not designed to navigate structures such as these. It's not like he can grab onto blocks and ledges and climb them up if he messes up the platforming. Like, all you've really got is an awkward double jump that doesn't always, like, it keeps your momentum, so that's not always going to save you. I feel like the double jump at Sonic Blast was a little bit better. Like, you could better guide where you want it to go. Like, Sonic would be better in this game with parkour. Like, especially if you could use a button. Yeah, God forbid that I try to use the cube wisp in a strategic and ingenious way to prevent myself from getting crushed. This is so misleading. Why did they even put this here then? I boosted here instead of stopping because I was running off my Atabat instincts. I had played Atabat Day on the Unleashed project recently, and so this took my memories of Atabat and betrayed me. It's a good thing that you can run up, that you can run over these. Like I think this, but look, then you try to jump over this and you can't. So you gotta take it slow, even though just a few games ago you were taught that you can boost under Crusher section and be just fine. Like this is just a slow waiting game and it doesn't really belong in a Sonic game. I haven't talked much about Orbot and Cubot. And like honestly, even though I don't like the whole stand-up comedy direction of Sonic, I really like Orbot and Cubot. They were long overdue. Like, I like how they have robot sidekicks for Eggman, but they're a lot better than Boko and Deco, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Scratch and Grounder, because Orbot contrasts Cubot because he's the smart one. And Cubot, he has his own personality to him. Like, he's naive, sometimes he fraternizes with Sonic, sometimes he doesn't really grasp that Eggman is his boss. He can be kind of lazy. Like, that's not to say Orbot never has idiot moments of his own, but honestly, Orbot and Cubot, they contrast each other. And that combined with the fact that they show off a day in the life of Eggman's robots, they show off two different types of Eggman's robots. You've got Orbot, who is smart and knows that Eggman is someone to roll your eyes at, because he's so delusional and self-obsessed. And then you've got Cubot, who is probably a lot more like how most of Eggman's robots are, like the Egg Pawns and stuff. Cause with Cubot, he blindly loves Eggman, but in a friend sort of way, rather than a boss sort of way. Like, he's blindly loyal to him, he would gladly tell him when he screwed up, rather than hiding it from him. And like, yeah, I'm screwing up here because, well, I didn't realize that the targeting reticule would appear over the springs that were so far away from me. Like, it's amazing how far away your homing attack can go. This is a fine level. You walk into exploding blocks that flash when you walk into them, and you wait for them to explode. The Cube Wisp destroys these black blocks, so that can be convenient. This isn't a very Sonic-like level, but it's fine to play through, so whatever. But anyways, Orbot, Cubot, like, the thing is, like, they talk as if they've always been around. Like, Sonic never really introduces himself to them. Like, not like in Sonic Colors DS, where it's made more obvious that they're new characters. Honestly, I have no trouble at all believing that Orbot and Cubot were just always around. You just never had a reason to see them before. Like, they're non-combat robots. They're there to capture animals. Like, I'm sure if we saw Eggman's capturing of the animals in the classic games, we would have saw Orbot and Cubot too. But yeah, like, I think that Orbot and Cubot were long overdue. It was always been weird how the games have never had an equivalent of Scratch and Grounder in them. Or anything of the sort, really. It's just that they're not entirely used to their full potential. Like sometimes Cubot can be so stupid that it's really annoying, especially in Sonic Colors CS, where his stupidity is breaking the suspension of disbelief. And also, sometimes Orbot can be portrayed as an idiot to the same extent. At least I didn't fall into a bottomless pit there. I used to think that this was just a one-time gimmick, but later these springs return. And the same goes with the orange rotating lasers, they return. Like, I feel like this game would have been better off if they just had one-time gimmicks, rather than reusing those gimmicks. You've got to constantly adjust your position to just keep on tapping right. Like, you won't always go right. And they train you to think that it's always going to catch you, but then you walk off the platform to your death thinking it's going to catch you. This is a pretty slow level. It drags out for an eternity. Like, I don't know. But yeah, something I was planning on talking about with colors was the egg pawns. Like, the egg pawns were introduced in Sonic Heroes, and they're also pretty prominent in Unleashed and Generations, and in this game. Honestly, I prefer the Badniks because the Badniks have much more varied designs. Like, they're based on animals. And you could say that's unoriginal, but it is pretty original in my opinion to have robots that are based on animals, rather than just generic bipedal robots like in Sonic 06. Like with the egg pawns, they look Eggman-like. They're orange and pudgy and silly, goofy looking. Because Eggman's got a sense of humor. And he's a comedy villain. He's been meant to be that from the very beginning. But I just like the Badniks more, and I'm not even a classic fanboy. I just think they have better designs. So it's good that they brought them back in Lost Worlds, but having Badniks doesn't make it a good game. It's just a nostalgia thing. And it's kind of boring having just egg pawns, since no matter how hard you try to make them different from each other, they're all just the same robot when you just look at them. Like, they're not very interesting to look at.